I sent out this email the other day. If any of you are on my email list, you probably saw it. It was talking about getting unstuck. I think everybody finds themselves stuck from time to time, and I know I certainly do. And this is something I learned, and I've talked about this on this podcast before, but I think it's been a little while. But it's the idea about generating momentum, and it's under your control to do that. So a lot of times when we're stuck, maybe we're sitting there waiting to be inspired or motivated or something, but it's like that stuff, you don't have any control over that to a certain extent. It's like you're gonna sit there and wait to be motivated to do the shit that you know you need to do, but like the reality is, like, you can create that on your own. And it sounds stupid to say, but it's like simply by starting, and a lot of times you have to force yourself to start. But like if you start making or creating or whatever the block is for you, it could be anything really, but if it's a creative thing, to just start creating and don't really think about what you're making. So like I used to have this all the time with design, and that's where I learned it. Was a professor at the school I was going to. I was stuck on a project, and I was like, I don't know what to make, and he was like, well, just start making stuff. Don't worry about what you're making. Just start putting things together, and it doesn't matter if it's good or if it's related. Jesus Christ, if it's related to the project or not. It doesn't matter. It's just a matter of getting yourself moving. And so, Stephen Pressfield talks about this in his book, The War of Art, and it was, he calls it resistance, and it's like, it's that, he kind of created this, I don't know, not created, but it's like, we all have experienced this, like the thing that you don't want to do, the thing that you know you need to do, but there's something that's holding you back. It's like you're doing all these other things that don't really matter, like, oh, I got to get all this work done, so maybe I'll get my desk all cleaned up, or some stupid little tasks that don't really matter, and you're doing anything to sort of avoid doing the work that you know you need to do. And so that's how I get past resistance, is just by forcing myself to start. And I don't know, this might be a little sidetrack, but like my attention span is so much shorter than it used to be. Like, and I think it's because I have spent too much time on the phone and all these kind of things. Because like it was a whole different thing before. So like when I was doing design full time, this was before social media, and I would feel resistance, it would just be a matter of like, okay, I'm gonna start making shit because I know I'm gonna be locked in for several hours at a time. And nowadays it's like, fuck, dude, like I'll set a timer for like 30 minutes and be like, all right, I'm gonna be locked in for 30 minutes, and it's like, that's not even really that long. So yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a sidetrack, but like I need to find a way to be locked in for longer amounts of time for sure. But one thing that, like I said with the timer, I just bought like a little kitchen timer. And so if you're finding yourself stuck, regardless of what it is, it could be anything, like your physical health, like work that you need to do for your business, or it could be creative work. If you're trying to develop a new style as a graffiti writer, and you're procrastinating putting in the work, because that shit, I don't know, for a lot of people that shit sucks. When you sit down and you try to draw something and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do a whole nother version of a bee that I've never done before, and then you draw it and you're like, man, I've done this fucking bee 100 times. Like that shit's frustrating. And I think that's one of the reasons why we procrastinate, because we don't want to deal with that little bit of pain that we have to deal with when stuff isn't going the way you want it to go. So that's why I think it's powerful to just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to put all this pressure on myself. I'm just going to say, like, you could buy this, like, I think I paid $10 for it on Amazon, just a little kitchen timer, and just say, all right, I'm going to get locked in for 30 minutes, and it doesn't matter what it is that I make, as long as I stay on task for that amount of time, And at the end of that time, you know, once the timer goes off, I know I've put in the time that I said I was going to put in. Obviously, you can set it for longer if you want to get locked in for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You know, that would be better, I think, in some cases for sure. But I don't know. It helps me every time, is just forcing myself to start. And I had to do that this morning. Like, I went out and I made some stuff, and I didn't like any of it. But that's another thing that I'll add is you can look at everything as the first draft. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I read it in a book. I can't remember what book, but the guy said, if you look at everything like it's just the first draft, then it takes a lot of pressure off of you. So if whatever that resistance that you're feeling and you're forcing yourself to get started, there's a lot of things that might go through your mind, like, oh man, what if it doesn't come out the way I wanted? What if I have to start over? What if I have to this and that? You don't have to show that shit to anybody. You can just fucking, it's the first draft. You knock out the first draft, and if you don't like it, then you can just do it again. And oh, I remember what it was. It was the Untethered Soul. It was like a lecture, Untethered Soul at Work, I think it was called. So you can get it on Amazon or Audible. But he said, and I've been finding this as well when I'm writing things like captions and shit. I'll say, all right, this is just the first draft. That takes a lot of pressure off of me, so it makes it easier to overcome the resistance to want to procrastinate, because a lot of that is like self-doubt or questioning whether or not it's going to come out good. But if you're like, you don't even care if it comes out good because it's just the first draft, you just want to get some shit down, and then you're gonna revise it. That act of taking all the pressure off of yourself not only helps you get going, but it also helps you create better shit, because you don't have that extra layer of pressure on, you know, I want this bee to be totally different than what it used, any bee I've ever done in my life, like, you know, some shit like that. But if you're like, all right, I'm just going to draw a bee and it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's just the first one, I'm going to do 100 of them today and try to find a new style or something like that. Taking all that pressure off yourself will often be enough to make it so that that first draft is actually good. So I know this is a pretty simple concept, but if you're stuck, just get started and don't worry about the outcome. If you're starting, if you're going and you're moving forward, you're already going to feel better. So I find that really helpful, and it helps me get unstuck pretty much every time. Even though it sucks to force yourself to start, sometimes you just got to do that. So anyway, hope that helps. I'll talk to you next time.
All right, good. Appreciate each and every one of you guys who are supporting the cause and continue to spread the love. And yeah, stay up.